by the fourth quarter. Let's listen in.
We think that this is a sharper but shorter recession compared to GFC. And there are three reasons why we see it to be a shorter recession than GFC. First is that this is a crisis which did not start out as a financial crisis. The private sector leverage in the US before the crisis was already declining, and the financial system was in a much better shape. The second difference is that we've got an aggressive policy response. So when you think of the G4 central banks and government spending, that has been far more aggressive than what we had seen during GFC. And the third is that we think that the situation will somewhat be in control faster than what the market is right now thinking about. So these are the three reasons why we think it will be a shorter recession than GFC.
Chetan, to counter this impending recession, governments across the world and central banks have actually injected liquidity into the economies, taken steps, lots of announcements. India as well has seen, an economic package to the tune of about 10% of its GDP. How do you see the scale of the stimuluses being announced across the globe and the effectiveness in actually cushioning the blow from COVID-19?
And when you think about the fiscal policy for G4 plus China, we expect the fiscal deficit in 2020 to be at 10.2% of GDP versus 4% in 2019. So there will be close to 6 percentage point of GDP expansion in fiscal deficit for G4 plus China. And the numbers that I gave you are the primary deficit. So this is really the stimulus as it's measured by cyclically adjusted primary fiscal deficit. So this is the real stimulus. So that's quite aggressive. And when you think about the Fed alone, we're expecting the fiscal deficit to expand to 19% of GDP on a headline basis, which would be including all the measures that has been announced so far. And there is a talk that there will be potential an additional $1 trillion of fiscal expansion. So that will take U.S. government's deficit to 24% of GDP. And that compares to 27% that we had seen in 1942 due to World War II. So this is a very aggressive fiscal expansion that the U.S. government is taking up too. So when you think about the policy response in total on central bank side and from the government, this is totally unprecedented.
All right, and we put a very critical question now forward to Sadhguru, which many parents have been asking as well during the lockdown. How much screen time really is okay, and especially for children, and how does one monitor it? Well, listen in to his answer. We posed that to the spiritual guru.